Today I've got a review of the Jetbeam TH20. This is an updated model, and they both share the same name. This has almost 4,000 lumens from a Cree XHP 70.2 LED and is a tactical light. It's got USB-C charging that can also be used as a power bank. Thanks to Jetbeam for sending this to me to look at and review. While you're here on YouTube, make sure you click that like button and subscribe to this channel and turn that bell notification on, and like me on Facebook or Instagram if you haven't done that already. Now let's get into the review. Here is the packaging for the Jetbeam TH20. It's pretty standard. It's your black and blue box, highlighting some important details about the light. On this box, you've got the tail cap. On the back, then you've got some features and then your statistics table. You've got a few accessories that come with the light, including the battery that I've got installed in it at the moment. You've got this pretty nice case. It fits in there well. It is a big light, so it's got a big pouch for it. You've got a button here for a belt loop. No Velcro really, and no D-ring on this either. You've got a basic lanyard, and then you've got this charging cable. And since this light can be used as a power bank, this is a little bit different. It's got a place to plug in your USB, an Apple cable to plug in your phone. It is USB-C, so you can go A to C and charge the light that way, and you could use this to charge your Android phone if you wanted to. Construction here of the TH20 Guardian is good. It is well built and solid all around. If I start at the tail cap here, and you can see it's just a little bit too long to do, you've got these two outer edges that stick up and protect the main button in the center. This is a strong mechanical button, and you can hear it click. Then you've got two paddles on either side, and you might be able to tell those activate strobe, and they are metal buttons, which is nice, and they both do the same thing. On the side, you've got a place for a lanyard. Some knurling here on the light is not super aggressive, but it does the job just fine. Inside the head, you've got your dual springs, and these are very stiff. Inside the light itself, if you can see down there, you've got just a single post, no spring, and threads on the outside here are nice, beefy, anodized, and really well done. The body itself has more of that same knurling on there, and it's so-so. You've got 4 flats milled in here, and where the labeling is, it's milled just a little bit further. Up towards the head, it is one piece, and the head does have some kind of heat sinking on here. I think it's almost more for style than it is performance. It allows your hand to lock on here pretty well too. This is a bigger light and it fits in my hand nicely. Up at the front, you do have a bezel. I was unable to unscrew this, so I think it is glued in place. And you can see the LED down there is nicely centered around the reflector, which has a fairly heavy orange peel on it. I measured the overall length at 161 millimeters. Maximum diameter on the head was 40.21 millimeters. Minimum diameter on the body was 29.5. And weight, as I measured it with the battery, was 267.3 grams. This is a large light, no way around that. And I've got a few comparison shots of similarly sized 21700 lights. I've got the Claris XT21X here. You can see it's very similar in overall length and diameter. Retention, this isn't an EDC light to put in your front pockets. It does not have a pocket clip at all, but it does come with that holster, which I showed previously. It's got that nylon belt loop with a button and no D-ring. Overall, it's kind of a generic holster here, but it gets the job done. This light is using a Cree XHP 70.2 LED in cool white, and no tint data here is given. And it does have the characteristics of a XHP 70.2, so that means it's got some beam distortion in the center of the corona and a bit of a donut, and there is tint shift here. It's more flood, but the beam isn't even, so it's kind of on the floodier side of a typical flashlight beam, but it's definitely not a thrower. The light has 4 solid on modes and then strobe. You've got turbo at 3,980 lumens, high at 1,500, medium at 350, and low at 25. And then you've got strobe, which no output data is given for. All right, I'm out here in the wilderness. Oh wait, no, it's just a school playground, and we're here taking a look at the night shots of the Jetbeam TH20. And I've got it here on low mode, and I'll annotate the lumen count here. But this is a good example of the donut shape in the beam that I've been talking about here. You can see it's got kind of a spot that's missing, in the corona around the very center is hotter. And I bump up one more. It's quite a big jump between modes on this light. This is something like 150 lumens if I remember right. And we can see it has decent ability to throw distance-wise. Bumping up one more time, this is something I think like 500 lumens. Nice big broad beam. It's not a thrower, but it's not a flood either. And this is high then, about 1500 lumens or so. If I bump up, here's the full 4,000 lumens, and we can see it does a nice job of lighting up this kind of blank space. For comparison, here is a Claris G15 I reviewed earlier this year. If you haven't checked out that video, please do so. It's got the same LED, and you can see this one's already clocking down. It's got 4,000 lumens as well, so same as the Jetbeam, but it's much more of a floody style beam. It's a smaller light overall in diameter and emitter. And then here is the Jetbeam TH20, and we can see it's a little bit more useful combination beam with a little bit of throw and still plenty of flood. I'm skeptical of the claimed 3,980 lumens at least, that it can sustain itself for any time. In my runtime graph here, you can see it lasted about 20 seconds before the light stepped down. At this point, it can sustain itself for a maximum of about 10 minutes before stepping down again due to thermal constraints, and the max temp I saw in the body was 40.5 C. Total runtime ended up being 2 hours and 26 minutes, but instead of shutting off, the light ran for several more hours at basically moonlight mode, and I ended up stopping my test at 5 hours and 35 minutes. Low voltage protection kicked in here at 2.946 volts. UI here is super easy. You've got this large mechanical button on the tail switch, as I mentioned before, and when you press that, the light turns on in memory mode, remembering what it last was in. You press tail paddle switch to cycle through your modes, low, medium, high, double click to go to turbo, and that's it. For strobe access, when the light is off, you just press and hold, and it cycles through a strobe and SOS kind of type mode. The light does have lockout. If you just twist the tail cap just a little bit, it'll break contact and the light is off. So recharging, the TH20 does offer USB-C on board here. The port here is kind of big. Why that matters is you can see that little additional hole in there, and that is the LED status indicator. Depending on the cable you're using, that status indicator can be difficult to see. Let me hook this battery up and see if I can do that. So I'm sure with my video lights it's hard to see, but I do have power flowing to it, and there's just a little bit of red around the port there. Even the built-in Jetbeam cable itself doesn't do a great job of showing what the status is there. I did not have luck charging this via USB-C to C. Let me show you that. So here I've got a standard USB-C cable hooked up to an Aki power bank here via USB-C, and you can see there's no LED light around there. I really wish more flashlights would support C-to-C charging. Recharging the 5100 milliamp hour 21700 battery from low voltage protection to full took 5 hours even, with a peak charging rate of 1.87 amps, and the curve here is a little bit abnormal, but no concerns with the battery size itself, and charging overall stopped at 4.149 volts. So this light can also be used as a power bank. So I've got that same USB-C to C cable here. I can plug it into my phone. Hard to see here, but my phone does show it is charging. It's not fast charging, and my phone's at 34% right now. It's reporting 4 hours and 17 minutes until full charge. So it'll get your devices there, it just won't work very fast. What I thought was a little bit interesting here was C-to-C cable works for charging devices, but C-to-C cable does not work to charge the flashlight. This and pull up to 2 amps. You can also use the included cable to plug in your device there. So if you want to charge, like, say, an Olight or your Apple device, you plug in your USB-A cable there and it starts charging. Very simple. So the pros were, I really like that warm gray color of the anodizing. It feels well made, good knurling, and beefy threads, and that battery bank feature is nice, but I don't love having to have this cable around if your device isn't USB-C to C. The cons are turbo has way too short of runtime with only about 20 seconds. It definitely has some distortion in the beam and lens. It's big and it's fairly expensive. While it tail stands here, it's not very stable when doing so. My conclusion is I don't have a ton of use for a light like this in my daily use. It's large, heavy, and turbo is too short to be useful on my example at least. I do think that tail design is pretty decent for direct access to strobe in a tactical situation, but 3 simple light modes plus turbo for your solid mode makes it easy to use still. I wish turbo lasted longer than 20 seconds, and it'd be more useful in a tactical and non-tactical situation. Overall, I love the color of the anodizing here. It's that gray brown, and it's nice to see on a tactical light not all being black. The light's also very well built from what I can tell. It's solid, and that rear tail switch takes quite a bit of pressure to push. It will never come on in your pocket accidentally. If you need a solid, well-built tactical light that's in the middle ground between thrower and a flood, this fits that need, but it isn't going to be your best general purpose flashlight to use in my opinion. Hey guys, if you got the Jetbeam TH20. Let me know what you think. If you've got any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. And don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon. I know most of you guys aren't subscribed by looking at my YouTube stats, and I'd love to change that. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next review soon.